Marriage contracts. What is a marriage contract? Well, at its very basic, a marriage contract is an agreement between two people in a relationship that decides how the relationship goes, what happens if the relationship breaks down, or after the fact, what happens after the relationship breaks down. Now, there's two general kinds, ones that occur as you go into a relationship or during the course of that relationship or when the relationship changes, and ones that happen after a division of the relationship, where there's a breakdown of the relationship between the people. Commonly, what people hear about, for the ones that are for existing relationships, cohabitation agreements. That means it's a contract that's designed for when people cohabitate. They live together, regardless of the relationship status, if they're legally married or not. We also have a prenuptial agreement. People hear about that, prenups. And that's for before, pre-nuptials, before a wedding. So it's an agreement people get into about what happens if their marriage, because they intend to get married, breaks down. Or we also have post-nuptial agreements. So that's agreements where people have already been married and they're together and they decide that they want to have an agreement just in case down the road the relationship breaks down. Post-nuptial agreements. They're all good, and in a way it's almost like an insurance policy in that while you're happy in good places together, you can decide who gets what and what's the outcome if things break down, and you get to choose, so that after the fact, if something does happen to the relationship, there's no uncertainty. You don't have to go to court to fight over things because it's already been predetermined, hopefully from a position of caring and love. Now, separation agreements are ones where the relationship is broken down. You've either by amicable agreement or with the help of lawyers negotiated out a settlement for who gets what, and that's papered up so that no one can change their mind between when you've come to the agreement and when a divorce actually happens. If you agree on things in principle but nothing is drafted or written down, and then you go to get the divorce and people find out that maybe they have different rights or maybe they're just upset and want more, or something has changed in terms of their health and they need more assets. So getting that separation agreement is really, really important to crystallize what happened after the breakdown of the relationship. Now, people also ask, how can we get out of a marriage contract? So marriage contracts are like any other that have some things that would let you get out of them. Some are more legal in terms of the law, whereas others are more in more practice, not legislated by the government. So one, failure to disclose. When people put together a marriage contract, you want to make sure that everyone is aware that you're coming at it with like the same mind frame where you know what it is you're agreeing to. If someone has hidden assets and has keeping things secret from their partner, then they can't really said to have agreed to something because they weren't informed. They didn't have that right. So it's really important to get proper disclosure, or there may be a way to get out of the marriage contract, whether it's prenuptial or cohabitation or separation agreement. Also, not understanding the contract. That's why with many of them, there is an absolute requirement to have independent legal advice. Each person has their own lawyer, and their lawyer explains to them the law, the nature of their agreement, their circumstances, what they should be expecting, and then the person can make an informed choice. Without that, it can be argued that they didn't have a full understanding of what the contract meant, or the rights they were giving up, or what they were agreeing to. And last, sometimes we'll have situations where someone is forced into the contract. So we always want to be very careful. If you have a prenuptial agreement, you don't want to spring it on the person the day before the wedding. You say, oh, if you don't sign this, then I'm not marrying you. Because that would be seen as coercing the person and forcing them into it. Sometimes it's a physical violence, sometimes it's financial stress or pressure. So whatever the case, we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to decide, are they going to enter into this agreement without pressure from that side of things. If you ever have questions, it's important to talk to a family lawyer, because there really are a lot of rights that are given up in terms of marriage contracts and a lot of obligations. So make sure you have a firm and good understanding of both the law, your position, and what you're agreeing to.